What's up, people? Welcome back to Chris Chats Comics. My name is Chris Gonzalez, and I'm back again for another Tuesday and back for another episode of Trade Talk Tuesdays. And this is the series where I discuss and recap either one or a couple of trade paperbacks that I either recently picked up or that are in my collection. And I guess they don't technically have to be trade paperbacks, they just have to be a collected edition that is comprised of 6 to 12 issues or standalone story or, a volume in a series. But this week I'm going to be going over and discussing 8 Billion Genies, and this is from Image Comics, and it's written by Charles Soule. The artwork and colors are done by Browne, and there's additional colors by Kevin Nipstein, and the letters are by Chris Crank. And I'm going to be reading the excerpt like I always do on the back of the book. So everywhere, at precisely the same moments, everyone on Earth gets a genie and one wish. So welcome to the world of 8 Billion Genies, as people all over the planet make wishes profane and profound. The world and humanity change forever. We follow 8 characters who find themselves in a Detroit dive bar as G-Day descends upon humanity. They navigate their hopes, fears, dreams, and wishes over the first 8 seconds, the first 8 hours, and ultimately the next 8 centuries. So, yeah, let's give a little context before I jump in. So I had read the first issue of this series on Image's website, because they'll put out the first issue of their series for free on their website. So I read the first issue back, it's been at least a couple years, and I thought the premise was really interesting. And Charles Soule, I really enjoy his writing, especially his Star Wars comics. His run on Darth Vader is probably my favorite Star Wars comic of all time, to be honest. But I heard a lot of praise for this series and I wanted to check it out. So after reading the first issue, I missed out on the hardcover, the deluxe hardcover, because they put the deluxe hardcover out first and then released the trade paperback last year. So I waited for the trade to come out, and I got it. And yeah, the critics and the fans of this book, they weren't wrong. Spoiler alert, this comic is really, really great. And let's go ahead. It does collect the entire series. It collects 8 Billion Genies, issues 1 through 8. And again, it was published by Image Comics under the, I think, Charles Soule's imprint, Silent E Productions. So let's go ahead and jump in this. So the first issue, and actually before I get into it, I do enjoy the cover. This is by the interior artist, Browne, and the characters on the cover are the main characters that we follow in this story. So, I'm a fan of Charles Soule's writing, and this whole series is just really clever. It gives a commentary about humanity and what we would do in this type of situation. Would we wish for something that would benefit the world or just benefit ourselves? Would we be selfless or be selfish? Would greed consume us, or would we, share our wish with the people that we love? And I just really appreciated that this comic was a commentary on, just our human nature, and based on, several events that have transpired in human history. Humans aren't the brightest, and they always want more, and they're never satisfied. So this definitely goes into that. And the first issue, it starts off at this dive bar in a town in Michigan, and the dive bar is called the Lampwick. And the owner of the dive bar, his name is Will Williams, and he's one of the main characters. And over the first issue, just several patrons just come to this bar, and they're strangers to one another, and they come across this weird event that happens. So here's another one of the main characters. His name is Robbie. He's there because his dad is drunk at this bar. And then we got a couple other of the main characters. We got Brian, Alex, and Daisy. They are part of this band, and they're up and coming, and they just booked this gig at the bar. So they're playing, and there's really nobody in this bar. And then a couple other people show up. We got Wang and Li Feng. They're from China. They have a meeting. They actually came to the wrong bar. They were supposed to go to this other bar, and they stumble across all these different people, and they just interact with one another. So, and all of a sudden, they're just conversating, and then all of a sudden, all over the world, these genies start to appear everywhere. Everybody gets one, and the reason the genies showed up is because once the population reaches 8 billion people, that's when the genies show up. And again, each person gets one, and they can only get one. And I just thought again, a really interesting premise. Like, what would you do if you had these genies? And I like how in the issues you get a little break of the first 8 seconds, and it shows you human population and the genie population. So like I said, once the population reaches 8 billion genies show up. So, and then the characters, they all are trying to figure out what they want to wish for. Some, again, people in the world, some people use their wishes like immediately, some hold off, some wish for stupid shit, some wish for more thoughtful stuff. And Daisy, who is a part of the band, she has this crush on Brian, and she wished for Brian to love her. And Alex, her bandmate, is the one who actually has a crush on her. But the bar owner, Mr. Williams, he had wished for, what did he wish for? He wished for something very specific. Okay, yeah, so Mr. Williams, his wish, he wished for, I wish that no wish outside of this bar can affect this bar or anyone or anything inside of it. So he did that first. So when Daisy made her wish for Brian, her bandmate Brian, to love her, she's like, I wish that Brian would love me, like romantic love, like he would have romantic feelings for me. So she wasted her wish essentially because she was outside of the bar. And, it makes things awkward for Brian, and it turns out Brian's actually gay, so it wouldn't have worked out either way. So they're all stuck in this bar while everything outside of the bar and outside in the world is going crazy, because people have wild ideas. And I just like the designs and the artwork by Ryan Browne's really dreamlike, and it just fits the story that Charles Soule is telling. And I just liked the colors were very vibrant, and so just seeing the people and use their different wishes on just wild shit was really cool spread page, double spread page right here. And that just gives you an idea of what the outside is like, outside of this bar. And again, this page just shows people all over the world. Again, some people wish for money, some people wish to teleport, some people wish to be young again, some people wish they could fly, some people wish they can hook up with aliens, others wish the parents to burn in hell, some wish people to be celebrities, and just a bunch of just random stuff. So again, all of these people, since they're all stuck in the bar. Yeah, they're safe from the outside world. And I did like the humor in this as well. Charles Soule, he did a great job on the humor. And yeah, that was pretty much the issue 1. I just laid out our main characters, and it doesn't give, he didn't lay out all the rules of how the wishes work and how certain things happen. So I like that he paced it out. The pacing of this series was done very well. Even though it was only 8 issues, I felt like the way Charles Soule's script paced itself, it was very fulfilling. And even though it wasn't a long series, he told the story he wanted to tell in those 8 issues. The pacing was dynamic, it was full of tension, and I just had a fun time reading this story. So in issue 2, it just again goes over some of the rules of the world and how the people use their wishes. And again, the artwork is just really, really beautiful. And so yeah, the Ed, who is the kid Robbie, his father, he wished for his wife to come back to life, because it doesn't really give out details of exactly how she died, but it's hinted at that she died of some type of illness. Yeah. So she comes back to life, and it was very heartfelt because Ed wanted, and her name is June, so Ed, the father, wanted Robbie, the son, to have his mother back in his life so they can be a family again. I just thought that was very heartfelt and emotional. And Wang, the Chinese patron that came with his wife, again, they were supposed to have a meeting at a different bar, and Wang is like focused on getting to this bar. He wishes that he wants to become whatever he needs to survive this new world and able to protect anyone with him. So he wishes for this souped up armor so he can go outside and be protected while he traverses the new lands and to get to this specific bar. So he tells his wife to stay at the bar so she'll be safe. And then some of these characters show up. So let's go back. So this character, this is Ernest Hemingway, and this is Jim Morrison from The Doors. I forgot what's her name, but she's some type of historical figure. And so when people wish for other people to either be brought back to life, they're called remnant wishes. Okay, so Jim Morrison from The Doors, he's performing with the band. They've been in there in the bar, cooped up in the bar for an extended period of time, so the band's actually getting better. But all of a sudden, Jim Morrison just explodes and blows up. So in this issue, it gives the rules of the remnants. So it says that he was a remnant. Remnants stick around as long as the person who wished them into existence is alive, but once they're gone, the clock starts ticking, and eventually, poof, they disappear. So Ed and Robbie, once they hear this, they are worried because technically June, the mother, she's a remnant because she was wished back to life. So, but as long as Ed is alive, then she'll be alive as well. So, and in this issue, it just goes over, it goes into Wang and how he's traversing through the world as everything's going crazy. And again, he's just trying to get to this bar because he has a meeting. Yeah, so I felt like Wang's subplot, traversing to this bar was very compelling, and it took an unexpected turn. So eventually Wang, he arrives at his destination, and he had made an arrangement with this guy right here. So Wang had brought him, he brought this guy a flash drive because he stole some data that the guy wanted, and it's in this flash drive contains code of every asset and all their current software and everything in development, and it's from Wang's employer. And this guy he had blackmailed Wang and threatened his career and his life in the country, his family. And yeah, so Wang, he decides, screw that, I'm not gonna go with your blackmail, and he kills the guy. He straight up kills the guy, murders him. Again, awesome artwork by Browne. Again, he did the coloring as well, and it's just really great. And again, the colors just really stood out, and yeah, I just was amazed on how much I really enjoyed the artwork in this. It just fit the tone and the story that they're trying to tell. So it's just, the story just goes over like how the patrons of this bar, they're trapped because it's the only safe place that they know, because everything on the outside, it's pretty dangerous. So yeah, and eventually we get Robbie, the young son. He wants to find a place so him and his parents can live safely. So he uses his wish to become a superhero, essentially. So he leaves the bar to find a place that's safe for him and his parents. And yeah, it's just in issue 4, Robbie, he meets up with like-minded individuals who are being superheroes and fighting all the evil in the world. So he gets caught up with this crew, and they're protecting the innocents, which is, a noble cause, because they come across their own particular villains. And eventually, Robbie, he gets sidetracked with all the fighting he has to do, and he's kind of getting sick of it because he doesn't want to kill people. And when he fights these bad guys, like, he's killing people, and that wasn't his intention. He just wanted to find a safe place for his parents. And he's just devastated. He just, And meanwhile, again, people are, Liang, she is pregnant. So June, she used to be a nurse, I believe, and her husband Ed was an EMT. So they're preparing for the birth of Li Feng's daughter. And it is then revealed that the owner of the dive bar, the dive bar that they're at, is Mr. Williams. He's actually a genie in human form, and that reveal was wild. Look at, I'm a genie. Great. Just look at the art, just the coloring and just the details on his face. Just a really beautiful image right there. So meanwhile, again, Robbie, he gets disgruntled. He can't handle all the killing, so he flies into space, again, trying to look for a safe haven. And and he comes across this domed city, and it's called Hope's Harrow. But he meets this guy, and this guy is the Idea Man. So eventually flash back to the 80s, where we get a little backstory of the Idea Man. And from the beginning, there's something wasn't right. Something wasn't right. And the vibes around this guy, something nefarious going on with the Idea Man. You learn that his name is Floyd, and as he was a kid, he's always had these weird ideas, and people didn't like his mom and his schoolmates. They just didn't appreciate his ideas, and they just thought he was a weirdo, essentially. So it just goes through his life and how he got to where he was with the genies. And his wish was, I wish people would believe in me. And again, he creates this kind of utopia, and he creates this utopia, and Robbie, begs him, like, hey, like, I just want a safe place for me and my parents. And Floyd, he agrees. This is their utopia that the Idea Man has built. And again, Robbie just wants to have a safe place to stay. And because what is this called? It's called Hope's Hollow. And it doesn't really, the one critique I have about this, the Idea Man, Floyd, he has all these wishes, and the rules clearly state that one human can have one wish. So somehow he had a workaround where he was able to obtain a shitload of wishes, and it doesn't really get into of how and why that happened. So that's like my one critique, is like, how did he end up with all these wishes? So I don't know. You can definitely tell there's something nefarious going on with him. And again, it just goes back to the other characters and how they're dealing with being cooped up in the bar. They're kind of going stir crazy. They're trying to figure out, okay, what can we do to, leave? And eventually Wang comes back from his ordeal, back to his wife, and June, Robbie has not shown up. It's been weeks since he's left, and I think months too. So June, she's kind of getting stir crazy, and she wants to know if her son's okay. And then Li Fang, she goes into labor. She's about to have the baby, and Daisy, since she already wasted her wish, she doesn't have a wish. Her bandmates Alex and Brian still have a wish, and during the process of the birth, Li Fang, she was bleeding a lot, and potentially, it was life-threatening. So Wang, he had pleaded with Brian and Alex to use their wishes to save his wife, and Brian was they were hesitant, and they didn't use their wishes, but it ended up Li Fang was able to give birth to their daughter safely. And Brian and Alex, they feel really bad because again, look, because Wang, he's like serious. He threatens to shoot Alex because he didn't use his wish, or he's threatening Alex to use his wish, but didn't end up happening. So, and then we get into more on how the Idea Man, how he operates, and he's kind of a douche. And He's trying to destroy all the other safe havens that are in the world. And it's revealed that the earth has been just scorched and essentially just cleansed of everybody. And there's a lot of radiation going outside. We don't know how that happened. It's just somebody has wished for the earth to be scorched. So the idea man, you think he's doing a noble thing by wishing to restore the planet, and he does so, but we find out later that he was the cause of the scorching. So eventually Li Fang, Wang, and their daughter, they all leave. They're trying to find, they're done being cooped up in the bar. So they went out, they finally left the bar to find a place where they can stay and raise their daughter. And shortly after they leave, the bands, Daisy, Brian, and Alex, they leave as well because they've heard of this place called Fun City where they can be creative and, work as a band. So eventually they all leave. And then Ed and June, they're the last ones left. And then eventually Robbie comes back. Robbie comes back and takes his parents to Hope's Hollow. And I forgot to mention, in order for Robbie and his family to stay at Hope's Hollow, Robbie essentially has to do whatever the idea man says. He has to be a part of his army. So again, it just follows the band's travels as they are looking for Fun City, and they get attacked because some people are, don't like genies, and they think that the remaining people with their genies, they're dangerous to society, so they try to take them out. So Brian and Alex, one of them uses their genie to brighten up and use it as a distraction so they can get away. So yeah, and it's just it's revealed that again Wang and Li Fang and their daughter, they start to create a community out somewhere in Ohio. And Robbie and Ed and June, they are now in Hope's Hollow, and June, she senses something's going on with the idea man. She doesn't trust him. And then while they didn't reach Fun City, they reach the bandmates, they reach this settlement, and they start to live there. And this settlement is run by this woman named Heidi Gutierrez. And, Heidi, she allows the band to stay at their community. And it jumps through time. It goes through like years. Yeah, it goes through years. So it follows each of the main characters, their lives as they're just navigating through this new world. And there's one part where the band, they're playing, and then all of a sudden they are, one by one, they are disappearing because the people that they were with are remnants. And this guy who was dating Browne, he's a remnant, so they lost a lot of people. So yeah, I thought that was pretty devastating. And they had to bury all of the people that they lived with, and they're once again off to Fun City. And then Wang and Li Fang, their daughter, her name is Ting Su, I believe. Ting Su. She doesn't know that she has a genie or what the rules are with the genie, and once she gets to a certain age, I think eight, the genie is supposed to reveal the rules, but in this page, Wang and Li Feng, they discuss that since their daughter does have a genie, that they will have to eventually leave this community because the people without genies, they will, start to become angry with them, and if they don't leave, they'll be asked to leave. So they leave as well. Yeah, and meanwhile, again, the idea man he's just using Robbie to destroy all the safe havens. And Robbie, since the idea man, his wish was to have people believe in him, Robbie is pretty much like mind control. And eventually the bands, they do reach Fun City, and in order to gain entrance into Fun City and to be a part of the community, they have to audition for it. So these are the judges, and so since they had been practicing their music for years, they perform in front of these judges. And this is really cool double page spread. I love the artwork, love the colors. And so initially they're denied. While the judges, they liked their performance, it wasn't good enough, so they're initially denied, and that was just like devastating. So yeah, eventually Brian, he finally uses his wish because Daisy, she had told the judges like, hey, my bandmates, they have a genie each, so let them in. And the judges were like, okay, we'll let them in, but you, since you don't have a genie, you can't come in. So Brian, he finally uses his wish. He says that he wishes that Alex genie would be under the control of all three of us, him, Alex, and Daisy, and that its wish must be wished by the agreement of all three of them together, unless one of them dies, and then it's just the two survivors, and after that, it goes to the last one who's still alive. So essentially, Brian uses his one wish to help them all out and help them gain entry into Fun City, but this is when their last remaining genie, it's like the design shows all, and I like how the designs of the genies, they are like made to look like they're humans, so I thought that was cool. But yeah, they're gained and they are allowed to stay in Fun City. So yeah, so in issue 7 starts with, again, Wang and his mother and his wife and daughter, they are trying to find another place so they can, find some refuge, and they're out at sea, and this is where the daughter, she's just turned 8, and then that's when the genie explains everything to her, and her genie says, just before you were born, everyone on Earth was given a genie and one wish. I am yours, and you are now 8, old enough to know the world and what you might want from it. You may wish for anything at all, but if it's an ugly wish, you might not like how I grant it. And now what can I do for you? And just as the daughter's about to make her wish, Li Feng, she stops her because, again, since children, they have wild imaginations, it could be, and her parents feel like she would waste her wish, so they tell her, like, under no certain circumstances that you make the wish right now, you have to save it. So eventually they come across this settlement in Safe Haven called El Futuro, and in this safe haven, the wishes of children cannot be used without the consent of their parents or guardians. And for Ting Shu, she can't use her wish. So, and it's revealed in the next issue that the people in El Futuro, the children, they can't use their wishes until they're 25 years old, which is crazy. So this part just goes over how the idea man, he's going to this other safe haven. This one's called Exactitude, and there's only 25 people living here, but they're a bunch of lawyers, and he's trying to make a deal with them because, again, he's been taking out all the other safe havens. He's trying to make a deal, but these lawyers, they're not having it. And the idea man, he starts threatening them, but the lawyers, they have a bunch. They had clients that, in order for them to be clients, they needed to exchange their genies. So the lawyers have a shitload of genies, and they're pretty much just tell the idea man. They tell him like, hey, you want this smoke? Be prepared to fight. So again, it just jumps through time, and now we're back in El Futuro, and the children, including Ting Shu, she's now calling herself Betty. They're just complaining about how their parents are preventing them from using their genies while they're old enough to make their own decisions. And Betty was like, I'm starting to, hate my parents because of it. And then back at Hope's Hollow, we see Ed and June, they're just chilling, but then Ed, he suddenly gets a heart attack and he dies. So since he died, it's pretty tragic. So since he died, and since June is a remnant, she doesn't have a lot of time. So she runs to Robbie, and Robbie's, again, much older now. He's probably in his 30s. She explains everything to him and how she feels about the idea man. She just tells him that the idea man is a fraud. He used some wish to make it hard for you to see, but he's a hollow person. Something happened in his life to carve him out on the inside, and he's just trying to fill himself up. That kind of person can do bad things, and he has done bad things. And then she gives her last goodbyes to her son, and she disappears. And then Robbie, he's just devastated. And then back in El Futuro, the leaders of the community, they are just game planning along with Wang on what they have to do when the idea man in Hope's Hollow comes to attack them. And then they actually do. They attack, and just the artwork really beautiful. Just the story is just really engaging and just really fun. Then we could jump back to Fun City, where Brian, he has died, and now Daisy and Alex, they are together now, and they're just remembering their friends. And go back to El Futuro, where the kids, they are rebelling against their parents. They're rightfully upset, and so they decide to leave so their parents can't. But then El Futuro gets attacked, and then Betty's parents, they get killed. And it's devastating to Betty. And then the idea man, he offers the kids to join him, but then Robbie has had enough with the idea man, because again, he has nothing to believe in now. And I just thought this was badass. Robbie just chucks the idea man into space, and the moon just eats him. So badass. And then just again, really cool visual. Just jumps forward in time, and we see Daisy here. Alex is on his deathbed, so Daisy is the last one of the bandmates, so she keeps the genie. And then we see that, oh, and I forgot to mention that once the idea man, once he was defeated, Robbie, he offers his services where he would protect the citizens of El Futuro, and they would create their own community. And so, and this is like, it'll say like how far, so year 80, Robbie has died, which is, I just like how it just jumps through time and just shows the lives of these characters. And so both Betty and Daisy, they decide that they want to live free, and they travel the world and just experience life. And the last issue 8, is kind of like an epilogue, and it just goes over Mr. Williams' backstory and how he got to where he got. So he was turned into a human, and he got to experience life, and he just he wanted to see how humans experience things. So he just did everything. He could change himself. He can be a man, he can be a woman, he can be any race. So he just wanted to, experience life. And he also, to prevent, since again, the rules are once the population hits 8 billion genies will come. So in order to prevent that from happening, he's the one that actually introduced the Black Plague onto the world. So that prevented the G-Day from happening a lot sooner. So yeah, and it's just really cool of how he experienced just human nature and all the emotions and desires that humans go through. And yeah, eventually we get caught up to the bar he started, because once he experienced everything he wanted to experience, he just settled down and observed life by being a bartender. And then eventually Daisy comes back to the bar, and initially Betty, she eventually comes to the bar as well, because now there's only 2 genies left. And Betty, she comes with her father's old armor. And so yeah, now there's only 2 genies left, one belonging to Betty, the other belonging to Daisy. And they just have a philosophical conversation of how they want to use their last wishes. And it's a very, very emotional and heartfelt moments, and they just have a philosophical conversation with Mr. Williams and how they'll be different. Because Betty, she wants to start over, but Daisy, she just wants to end the cycle of having to rely on genies. So the ending was a little corny, because it's pretty much it ends with love is the answer, essentially. But I thought it was, even though it was a little corny, it was pretty beautiful and very poignant. And yeah, this was the last page. So, and then because in order for the cycle to end, they have to produce the perfect wish. And the perfect wish, again, is love. And Daisy, since she had the last wish, she says, I wish that everyone will love the way that they want to be loved. And then the genies disappear. So, population 8 billion, genie population 0. So that was it. That was 8 Billion Genies, a very creative story by Charles Soule and Ryan Browne. Again, the artwork was very fitting to the tone and the story, very whimsical, very dreamlike visuals. The colors were very vibrant, and again, like I said, it's just a commentary on the human nature and what would we do with this type of power and responsibility. And would we be selfless, or would we be selfish? And at the end of the day, love is the answer. So really recommend anybody who hasn't read this to go out, read it, and you'll really enjoy it. Hopefully you will. I don't know. You might not like it. I don't know. But that was 8 Billion Genies, Charles Soule, Ryan Browne. Highly recommend. And so for the next episode of Trade Talk Tuesdays, I will be going over a story that I haven't read yet. And it's from Marvel, and it's about one of my favorite Marvel characters, and that is the Silver Surfer. And this is Silver Surfer Black, and this is by Donny Cates, art by Trad Moore, and I believe the colors are by Dave Stewart. So haven't read this, but I've heard great things, and again, Silver Surfer is one of my favorite characters, so can't wait to read this. This will be next week's episode. And yeah, that was it. So thank you for those who have watched the video. Smash the like button, share this video, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already. I mean, come on now. Trying to get to 1,000 subscribers. That's the goal. So, but yeah, subscribe. Anyway, thanks again. My name is Chris Gonzalez. This is Chris Chats Comics, and I'm out. Peace.